it's official, the Roush Fenway JTG Daugherty trade of sorts is now complete. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has a new home for 2020, and we have some Xfinity silly season news. Let's talk about all that and more in today's episode. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric, and welcome to Out of the Groove. Definitely an impromptu episode here. Did not plan on making this one when I did yesterday's video where I talked in depth about Chastain getting an Xfinity ride, talked about Clint Boyer re-signing with SHR. I talked about the rumors that Stenhouse might go to the 37. I didn't expect them to make that news official this week, but sure enough, here we are. Let's start off the show talking about it. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was confirmed yesterday will be driving for JTG Daugherty next year. He's effectively replacing Chris Buescher, who took over Stenhouse's ride, so not really an actual trade, but that's kind of how it looks on paper at least. Now, interesting, they didn't say what car number Stenhouse would actually be driving, so that leads us to believe that it won't be the number 37 next year. Ryan Preece, as far as we know, is still going to be back in the 47 next year. However, the 37, I guess that won't be around. What car will Stenhouse drive? Will it be the 57? Maybe the 67? The 87? What's left? 97? I guess we could have the 97, right? Is there a 97? Nah, I don't know anyway, but we'll have to wait and see. They said they would announce that at a later date. But this is it. This is big news. This is important news for not just JTG Daugherty because they fill an empty seat with a veteran driver. A lot of the drivers that are kind of out on the market right now, like Daniel Hemrick, and guys like Ross Chastain maybe dipping their toe into the Cup Series, those are young drivers without very much Cup racing experience. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., while he hasn't had the greatest career to date, he does have, 7 years now? I think this is his 7th year of Cup Series racing, a full-time Cup Series racing, and that's a veteran by today's standards. I generally think this is a pretty low risk, but with the possibility of a pretty high reward move from JTG Daugherty. I don't think Stenhouse is going to come in there and turn that team's program around. I don't think he's going to make that car any better, really. I think he's going to run about how Chris Buescher did this year. He's going to be a 20th to 25th place car every single week. That's what I expect from Stenhouse. That's what's probably going to happen. But this is still a smart move for JTG Daugherty because Stenhouse is a veteran driver who can bring some new things, a different perspective perhaps. He's coming from a Ford team, now going to a Chevy team. He can bring some interesting perspective there that maybe they didn't have before. And when they still have a young guy, a guy who's only got 1 year, not even a full year yet, of Cup experience in Ryan Preece over there, maybe Stenhouse can help mentor him in some capacity. Maybe he can be of some sort of benefit to Ryan Preece's future because I think JTG right now has a little bit invested in Preece. He's maybe going to be one of their future guys for a while now. So this could be good in the long term for JTG. But now what does this mean for some of these drivers that are still kind of looking for a Cup Series ride next year? Now that the 37 is presumably off the market, there's not really very many competitive Cup Series cars still available. If we're talking about cars that are currently in the top 30 in points, there's only a couple out there that still have question marks. The only semi-competitive cars still available next year that I can see are the 41 car, Stewart-Haas Racing, because Suarez, while it sounds like they're in negotiations currently, they don't have a deal yet for 2020. Then there's the Front Row Motorsports cars. David Reagan's retiring, so that 38 car is going to be open. I don't know if any of their other cars could be open as well. You tend to think Tiff will probably be back in the 36, but there could be room to grow there at Front Row Motorsports. And then Go Fast Racing is the other one. The 32 currently driven by Corey LaJoie. There's been speculation, rumors that they could sign a deal with Stewart-Haas Racing to become an affiliate and aligned team with SHR. And if that happens, who knows if LaJoie will stay there. That could be a spot for Cole Custer if they so choose. So we'll wait and see on that one. But those are really the only 3 or 4 cars still available. And of those, the only real championship contending car is the 41. So not a lot of great opportunities left out there for guys like Daniel Hemrick. I'm really interested in those SHR deals. If Suarez comes back, if Custer ends up with the team, if LaJoie still sticks around, because I think Corey LaJoie definitely has earned a spot in another year in the Cup Series for sure. That's what's really interesting, but we'll have to wait and see what happens with those developments. Now, before I talk about the other big silly season news developing today, we have a couple off-the-track stories that are developing as well that are kind of not good. In the last 24 hours, not 1, but 2 NASCAR team haulers have been involved in wrecks or involved in incidents while traveling to Kansas Speedway. Firstly, yesterday, the number 10 colleague racing hauler actually was involved in a wreck. Both drivers were taken to the hospital, both truck drivers, I should say, hauler drivers, were taken to the hospital. They have since been released, but the team has been assessing damage to one of its primary cars and apparently is being forced to prepare a second primary car for the weekend here in Kansas. So kind of a big tragic situation there. Could have been a whole lot worse, but still kind of a scary situation there for colleague racing. And that's not the only team hauler to run into trouble this weekend. Just earlier this morning, JTG Daugherty's number 47 Cup Series hauler caught fire while traveling to Kansas this morning. Drivers were all okay. Everyone was okay. They were still assessing any possible damage to the primary or backup cars. So we'll see what comes out of that. But kind of insane that in a 24-hour span, 2 NASCAR team haulers had major incidents. But everyone seems to be okay. hopefully the monetary damage was not too bad as well. Now let's talk about the other big silly season announcement. It's Xfinity related. Harrison Burton has been tapped by Joe Gibbs Racing to drive the number 20 Xfinity Series Supra next year in 2020. He's going to have sponsorship from Dex Imaging. He's going to be competing for the Xfinity Series Rookie of the Year. I did not see a crew chief announcement yet for him. Jason Ratcliffe, who's the crew chief on that 20 car this year, is moving up to Cup with Christopher Bell next year, so no word yet as to who will be the crew chief of that 20 car in the Xfinity program. But Harrison Burton, who spent this year in Kyle Busch Motorsports equipment down in the Truck Series, is now getting the promotion to a top Xfinity ride, a ride that Christopher Bell has won a lot of races in, and Eric Jones as well. They've won a lot of races in that car the last several years. Harrison Burton won the K&N East Series Championship a couple years ago. He has 3 career ARCA Menard Series wins. He still has 2 more Xfinity starts scheduled this year for Joe Gibbs Racing because he has made a few starts this year in that 18 car before next season. So Harrison Burton, there's a debate whether or not he's deserving this ride because he has struggled, I would say, by Kyle Busch Motorsports standards this year in the Truck Series. Both full-time KBM drivers, Harrison Burton and Todd Gilliland, failed to make the Truck Series playoffs this year, which if you know Kyle Busch and Kyle Busch Motorsports standards, that's often deemed unacceptable, especially when that 51 truck, which early in the year was driven by Kyle Busch, and then even at Texas was driven by Greg Biffle, that truck won a lot of races. But the 2 young guys, Todd Gilliland and Harrison Burton, never got it done. That's not to say Burton's had a bad year by any means. He does have 7 top 5s, which is 5th most in the series this year. He's led laps, he's been fairly consistent, he just has not shown winning speed. So a lot of people are probably skeptical as to why Harrison Burton's getting this top ride. I mean, that 20 car in Xfinity has been one of the, if not the best cars in the Xfinity Series the last few years. A lot of people are skeptical or questioning why Harrison Burton was deemed to get that ride. I, for one, don't think it's crazy that Harrison Burton's getting this Xfinity Series opportunity. I mean, if you look at the young guys KBM JGR has, it's between Harrison Burton and Todd Gilliland, and neither of them had great years in the Truck Series, but it was clear that Harrison Burton has been a little bit better. So if I had to pick between the two of them, I'd go with Burton, especially given his success in the K&N Series. Burton's actually made 6 Xfinity starts this year with Joe Gibbs Racing, and his results in the Xfinity Series have arguably been as good or better than his results in the Truck Series. So it could be something about these cars, higher horsepower and stuff than what he's using in the trucks, that maybe just favors his driving style a little bit better. In his 6 Xfinity Series starts this year, he does have a top 5 and he has 3 top 10s. And he's qualified inside the top 10, I think, in all but one of those races. And remember, at New Hampshire, he had a top 5 run going until Paul Menard, a Cup Series veteran, decided to wreck him on purpose, which I think a lot of us gave Menard a lot of flack for. So Harrison Burton's actually run pretty well in that Xfinity car, which is why I am excited to see what he can do in a full-time season. He's probably not going to start the year off like strong going out there winning races, but I think a win or two, a couple wins next year is not out of the question. I also do think, though, now that Harrison Burton is driving for Joe Gibbs Racing, the official JGR mothership, in the Xfinity Series, in a car that has contended for championships for years now, there is definitely a lot of pressure on Harrison Burton. There was some pressure this year driving for KBM, and I would say he didn't quite live up to the hype this year. There's definitely pressure here at Joe Gibbs Racing. If he doesn't perform next year, if he doesn't make the playoffs for one, win a race or two. I think Burton needs to win a race or two next year. If he doesn't win next year, that will be a blemish, especially now that Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, and maybe Cole Custer, some of the heavyweights in the series, are going to be out of the way next year. Burton needs to win in Xfinity next year in that 20 car. If Burton doesn't win, if he doesn't contend for wins, if he doesn't make a pretty deep run in the playoffs, that will be disappointing and we'll have to have a different conversation. But I think Harrison Burton has what it takes. I think obviously he's the son of Jeff Burton, one of NASCAR's all-time greats. He's got a good teacher there. He's got a good resource to lean on right there, and he's in good equipment. And he has shown in the past that when he's driving these full-body stock cars, he's pretty good. He's not bad. He wouldn't be my championship pick, but he's definitely going to be a contender. He's in top equipment, but we'll have to wait and see. Cool for Harrison Burton, though, to get this promotion. He's only 19 years old, very young, but Joe Gibbs Racing hoping they have another superstar in the making here because, they've done a good job of developing stars in recent years. I am very intrigued to see who his crew chief's going to be, but that will be announced at a later date. Anyway, that's all I got time for in today's episode. Lots of silly season news there. Stenhouse going to JTG, Burton going to Joe Gibbs and Xfinity. A lot of interesting stuff. 2020 is going to be a pretty wild year. A lot of familiar faces in very new places. But thank you all for watching. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Big thank you to my Patreon supporters. Michael Harrison at You Is the Stars, Cameron, James, John Koblenz, Jason R. Long, Wesley Donaldson, Isaac Dennison, Mika Suzuki, iFantasyRace.com, TheRacingInsiders.com, Matthew Koulopoulos, Pepe Lucius, Jeremy Conkling, Emilio Garcia, Joey DiMacchino, Sky Racing Form, Bryce Schumacher, Scott McNew, Colton Austin, Bradley Pelletier, and the rest of these incredible Patreon supporters. I couldn't do this without the support I get from you guys every single week, every single month. So thank you a ton. I'm probably not going to have any more Out of the Grooves up until this weekend, until the race at Kansas. After that race, I'll do my reaction, my review video as always. I still have my Talladega videos coming up, so I think I uploaded my first Talladega video uploaded today. I'll upload my second Talladega video probably tomorrow, so keep an eye out for those. That was a ton of fun. Really proud of those videos. So yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you again very, very soon. Have a good rest of your week.